At the foot of the Bachkovo Monastery in the Rhodope Mountains, thousands of people gather for the year's most critical economic and social event. This is the Kalayaji Bride Market, a high-stakes matrimonial marketplace. The event functions as a site for authorized speed dating. While teenagers dance and flirt, their families negotiate massive dowries to secure virgin brides. The financial stakes are exact and unforgiving. A bride's price can reach €10,000, a sum calculated based on her physical appearance and an untarnished reputation. The Kalayaji maintain this extreme market as a calculated survival mechanism for an isolated group holding on to a distinct identity. This diagram shows the demographic footprint of the Kalayaji clan. Within Bulgaria's national population, they represent a tiny minority of just 18,000 people. Most of the community endures severe marginalization. In Kalaji neighborhoods, unemployment hovers around 80%, and families often live in housing cut off from basic water and sewage systems. To defend against this poverty, the Kalaji built an impenetrable social wall. They enforce strict endogamy, requiring marriages to take place exclusively within their own community. This strategy of isolation once protected them from a hostile society, but today, that same wall is threatening their future. Historically, the Kalaji were defined by their skill as copper tinsmiths. They lived as a nomadic community, traveling between villages to repair pots and pans, a trade that once provided both pride and a stable income. This chart illustrates the erasure of that economic foundation. Modernization replaced copper with cheap, mass-produced goods, and today, traditional metalwork accounts for just 3% of the community's income. Without their signature trade, the men scavenge for labor. Many repurpose their metalworking skills to install roof gutters, taking whatever seasonal work they can find to feed their families. Without a shared nomadic trade to bind them together, the clan relies entirely on the marriage market to preserve their distinct cultural boundaries. Enforcing these boundaries requires rigid physical control over daughters. Parents restrict their movement and social interactions to protect their reputation and their virginity. The economic penalty for a lapse in reputation is absolute. Any deviation from tradition annihilates a young woman's financial value in the marriage negotiations. This flowchart tracks the biological fallout of these closed marital loops. Restricting marriages to a small group has severely compressed the gene pool. Medical studies have uncovered a high concentration of genetic disorders within this bottleneck, including epilepsy and muscular dystrophy. Women bear the brunt of this societal design. Often pulled out of school at 16, they are restricted from the labor market and face internal discrimination that limits their participation in society. The strategy to preserve a pure bloodline is simultaneously causing the community to deteriorate from within. Modern youth are finding ways around this physical isolation. While they may outwardly respect their heritage, they are now permanently connected to the global internet. Smartphones and Facebook bypass the physical boundaries of traditional courtship. Private messaging allows young people to flirt and arrange meetings outside their parents' direct supervision. This digital exposure is shifting preferences. Young men are moving away from conservative traditions, favoring modern clothing and aesthetics over their parents' styles. As digital borders become more porous, physical isolation becomes impossible to maintain. These devices are quietly eroding the parents' absolute authority. The limits of the tradition are visible at the current bride market. Instead of thousands of attendees, only a few hundred people have turned up. An external threat disrupted the event. Rumors spread online that a nationalist Bulgarian biker gang had blockaded the roads to the monastery. The gathering breaks up prematurely out of fear. The youth are left disappointed as critical marital negotiations are abandoned. The disruption of the market reveals the dual pressures squeezing the community, the hostility of the outside world, and the limits of their internal rules. Systemic poverty, dead industries, and nationalism all threaten the Kalayaji. Yet these external forces are not the primary catalyst for change. The most significant shift stems from within the community itself. A new generation of youth is discovering a deep desire for self-determination through the glowing screen of a smartphone. The fortress that the Kalayaji built to protect themselves is collapsing under the weight of the modern world. Preserving a culture by trapping its people in time creates a tension that eventually pulls the community apart.